Hello and welcome to the Tolsta tea project vlog. So I have finished my Tolsta tea finally. So a little bit of context, I am a beginner knitter and the Tolsta tea was my first knitted t-shirt, like my first knitted garment for myself. So I am very happy with how it turned out, and this project vlog follows right from the start where I cast on to right when I finished. So I share all the process of what I did. So the Tolsta tee is a pattern by Rebecca Clow. It is a paid for pattern, so I don't give away, the stitch count or anything like that. I do share various techniques, like how I make one left, make one right, that sort of thing, because that is how the raglan increase is done. But anyway, enough of me waffling on. Let's get on into the video. Okay, so I've printed the Tolsta tee out and I've got my yarn for that. I've chosen my needles and I'm going to cast on. Okay, so I've decided to get a comfy chair, but let me talk more about the wool I'm using. So I got this in a D-stash and it's Drops Baby Merino. So I've never tried this before, but it's really nice and soft. It's 100% wool, so merino wool. And yeah, this is in the colour 42. See that there? It's a 4-ply, I believe. It says extra fine merino wool, so I'm guessing that's a 4-ply. Needle hook it recommends is like a 3mm. I'm going to be using this for the Tolsta tee. I've got 5 balls of this, and that equates to more than enough like meterage that I need for a Tolsta tee. I've chosen my needles, so I've got a 2.75 and then I've got a 3.5 on some cable. Although in the pattern it didn't say how long the cables need to be, which I didn't like because I like to be told exactly the size that I need as a beginner knitter anyway. I've got needles that I think I'd need, and yeah, I'm just going to cast it on. I'm doing the size 4, I believe, which will give me about 10 centimeters of positive ease. So yeah, I'm going to give this a go. Okay, so I've cast on my stitches. I've got 152 here, which seems like quite a lot for a neckline, but I'm going with it. So I've done a few rows on the yoke, and it's quite large. The cable doesn't fit round, but it will stretch because it's ribbing. But yeah, that just seems really wide to me. I guess it is sort of like a boat neck, the Tolsta tee. But yeah, I'll continue with it. We'll see. Never made a t-shirt before, as you all know. this is the progress of the yolk on the Tolsta tea, and I have nearly done my 12 rows of ribbing. I'm really happy with that. I have made a few mistakes, obviously, but they're not very noticeable and they were corrected. So I'm happy with the progress on this. This is the progress. So you can see here where my raglan increases are, and I have done German short rows. Basically, German short rows makes it sit a bit higher at the back of the neck, so that when you pick up the top, you know where the front and back is, and it just fits nicer. I've learnt so much so far. The Tolsta tea is by Rebecca Clow, and yeah, I've done some of the ribbing and I'm doing the raglan increases now. So yeah, that's where I'm up to so far, and I'm liking this. I'm using dropped baby merino, gone past the German short row section, and now I am working on just the raglan increases. So there's a row 1 where you knit all the way round, and then there's a row 2 where you do the raglan increases. So yeah, I'm just on the bit where I just knit all the way round. I have ordered on Wool Warehouse. I've ordered more yarn, and I have also ordered, so I've got some interchangeable needles, and this one here is plastic. I don't quite like the plastic, so I've ordered some metal ones in the 3.5 millimeters, and I don't know if you can see, but this cable that I'm using is too big, so I've literally stretched the stitches onto it. Obviously I am increasing, so hopefully that will get better as I increase. However, I have ordered I think it's a 40 centimeter interchangeable needle, so that I have got a shorter cable that I can use when I'm doing this sort of project again. So I'm going to count this as my first ever knitted t-shirt, because it is. Obviously I started the SAT first, and it has got some lace details on the shoulder. I was finding myself going on YouTube to look up the different terms every time I come across that in the pattern, so it wasn't really getting there and I needed full concentration. So I decided to start the Tolsta tea because that was one on my list to make. It's working up really well, and to be honest with you, I did have to YouTube some of the terms, but what I did was I wrote them down on a piece of paper, how to like make one right, make one left, make one right purlwise, make one left purlwise, and then along the bottom I have written basically how to do German short rows on the knit and purl side, even though I think it's basically the same. It's just where you hold your yarn is a bit different, whether you sort of bring it round to the front or keep it in the back once you've done your double stitch. It's going really well and I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning new techniques, and I'm finding every time I come across the raglan increase, although I'm referring to what I've written down, I am slowly remembering how to do like a make one right, make one left, whether it's, you know, picking up that middle stitch from the front or the back. Yeah, I'm slowly getting there. Yeah, I'll continue just to knit round and make some progress. Progress. So you can see how this is the front, and then the German short rows at the back to make it slightly bigger. So the back of the neck will sit higher than the front. But yeah, you can see my raglan increases here. So that's where the shoulder is. And then on the other side is the other shoulder. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Nighttime knitting update, and I've done quite a lot on the Tolsta tea. So it's the next day. I did take this to craft group last night and I joined a new ball on last night. So I've got some ends sort of straggling away in there. But yeah, I'm currently on the last row of like a pattern repeat, and then I need to refer back to the pattern to see what's next for the Tolsta tea. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this, as I said before, and yeah, it's working up quite well. I've picked up the Tolsta tea again. I haven't worked on this in a couple of weeks, so I've just looked at the pattern. I've got one more row to do before I split the sleeves, so that's what I'm going to do now. so it's another day. I have just worked 2 night shifts and I've just picked up my Tolsta tea. So I've only got a strand of yarn left, so I need to add another ball at some point. I'll work what I've got and then I'll attach the ball. I just thought I'd have a nice chilled day today, do a little bit of knitting, and yeah, I sometimes feel like a little bit of a zombie on a Friday, if I'm honest, because yeah, just finished night shift. Don't always go to sleep because I want to craft. Okay, so I've knit, so I've got only that much left. I'm going to drop that and then add another ball. So this is the 3rd ball that I'm adding. It's the Drops Baby Merino. Now, last time I did this, I had a bit of a hole in my work, but I've seen this is how you add balls, so looks like I dropped a stitch. I have not. So where I add the ball, it looks like I haven't got a stitch here, and it looks like it's dropped a stitch. That's so annoying. I'll fix it. This is my first t-shirt after all. It's not going to be perfect. So I wanted to show you the progress where I'm up to. So I split for the sleeves and then I've done, well, this much. So yeah, progress is progress. And I'm at the point where I just knit all the way around until I think it should measure from the underarm until, well, it's the Tolsta tee. It's quite modifiable. In the pattern, I think it says from the underarm to the length of the body, you need to knit about 30 centimetres, I think. However, I think the Tolsta tee is originally like a cropped t-shirt. However, I like mine quite long, so yeah, I'll just literally knit it until it's the right length for me. But for now, it's about up to there. So yeah, I've only just come under the sleeves a little bit. So yeah, I've got a lot more knitting in 4-ply to do. But it's going to be one of them nice, easy projects that I can just take to knit night, you know? Perfect project, if you ask me. I've just put my Tolsta tea on, and I just basically wanted to put it on to find out how much I need to do with the sleeve. So I'm working on this sleeve. I've currently got the ball of yarn in this hand, so hang on. Okay, so I'm kneeling at the moment, but you can see how I've done a little bit of the length here, only a little bit, and I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So yeah, I'm going to do the ribbing for this and then start with the next sleeve, I guess. But if I stand up, this is kind of what it's looking like. So it is a bit tight around here. Overall, I did not gauge swatch. So it's only tight because it's a tighter cast off, I guess. But yeah, I'm so happy with this. I didn't gauge swatch, and yeah. So the yarn I used was the Drops Baby Merino. I think it's a sport weight yarn, and the pattern I was following for the Tolsta tee was the 4-ply version. So this is technically a little bit thicker than 4-ply, so that's probably why it's not as oversized as I would have liked, because it is hugging me a little bit around here and a little bit around the belly, which I don't really like, but you know, it looks fine. And it's my first knitted garment, and I'm very glad that I bought this de-stash yarn and used it for this tee, because I didn't crack into my more expensive yarn. I'm really happy with this as a first attempt. So yeah, I'll give you another spin round. So yeah, let's do the ribbing on the sleeve and then pick up for this one. So I have done the ribbing on the sleeve. I now need to cast off. Done! I just need to pick up for the next sleeve, and then this will be finished. So yeah, that's my other sleeve, but that is my finished sleeve. So I only done a little bit on it. Very nearly finished. Next sleeve attached. Oh, hey Caprica. So I am going to knit a bit on my Tolsta tee because it's very nearly finished. I'm on the last sleeve. I think I'm ready for the ribbing. Nearly done. Okay, so I've finished my Tolsta tee, and this is currently what it looks like unblocked. So I'm now going to block it, and hopefully it stretches out a little bit. So at the moment on the bottom of the ribbing, it is sitting a little tight, but that's probably how I cast it off. But yeah, overall I'm really happy with this, and yeah, let's block it. so here it is. The Tolsta tea is on the blocking mat. This is the first time I've ever blocked a garment, or anything for that matter. So I hope I've done it right. I think it's quite evenly spaced around, and I have used every single one of my blocking pins. So yeah, I hope that's okay. But now it just needs to stay there until it's dry. Okay, so the Tolsta tea is dry. So that has been drying all day and all night. Now I can take it off the blocking boards and wear it. Okay, so here it is. It's all blocked and it's definitely grown. It's grown in length. Hang on. Yeah, you can see it a bit better now. So yeah, it's definitely grown in length because before, I want to say it was about here. So it's just under my belly. But yeah, it has grown to about here, which I'm quite happy about actually, because I like longer t-shirts. And I don't know if you can see, but I've got a bit of drape. So the Tolsta Tee by Rebecca Clow is supposed to be a slightly oversized boxy sort of t-shirt. So I have discovered by blocking it, it has turned out the way I wanted it to. So I'm just so happy. You can see how, you know, I've got extra drape here, which is lovely because I don't like my tummy and I don't like things clinging to it. So this is perfect. And yeah, the sleeves are not too tight. So what I did with the sleeves is I actually used a 3.5mm when I did my ribbing and then when I cast off. So because when I cast off on the bottom, I actually used a 2.5mm only because I didn't have a 2.75, which was recommended in the pattern. I can still feel it's slightly tight at the cast off, but because I've got this extra length, that is fine. I don't mind that at all. But yeah, I am going to get so much wear out of this, I can tell. And I didn't do a gauge swatch. So I know it's very important to do a gauge swatch, especially if you're taking all this time to knit a garment. And I was just lucky, I think. But overall, I'm so happy with the fit of this. And also I noticed after blocking is the neckline sort of stretched out a bit. So it's become more like a boat neck, which I really like. I wear t-shirts of all sorts, t-shirts sort of that come close to the neck, t-shirts that are a bit lower, but this is perfect. It's a perfect amount of space. But anyway, I just love it. The fabric feels lovely and soft. It's 100% merino, so the yarn was Drops Baby Merino, as I've said. This was actually a sport weight yarn. So in the pattern, it calls for 4-ply, or you can do a DK version. So I chose the 4-ply and I chose the Drops Baby Merino out of my stash because I bought it as part of a D stash. And I thought that yarn would be perfect for this project. So it has worked out overall. Although it wasn't a 4-ply and I was following a 4-ply pattern, it still worked. So yeah. I'm going to do a turnaround so you can see the full pattern. So pleased with this pattern. So there we have it, a finished Tolsta tea. Overall, I'm so happy with how it turned out. I love the fit and I loved the process. So overall, I followed the Tolsta tea to the T. So the only thing I changed was when I picked up my stitches under the arm, it said to, hang on, how do I? So you find the middle of the sleeve and then you pick up 3 stitches. So you like make 3 stitches and then knit until you get to the other portion, like the other half of the underarm, and then you pick up another 3 and then carry on. However, I changed that because when I picked up the 3 stitches, I thought, there's a bit of a large gap here. So what I did was I picked up an extra 3 stitches on either side of the half of the underarm, if that makes sense. But once I'd done that and I was on the point where I'd knit around, I would then knit 2 together 3 times, because effectively I'd picked up 6 stitches on either half of the underarm. So I needed to kind of, you know, delete those. I needed to omit those extra stitches to keep the stitch count of the sleeve correct. So by knitting 2 together 3 times, I effectively ended up with those 3 stitches either side. So I hope that makes sense. So that is the only modification that I did. And yeah, I'm a beginner knitter and I highly recommend this to any other beginner knitter out there. There were some terms I had to look up on Google only because I'm an inexperienced knitter. So make one left, make one right. I had to look on YouTube to see a tutorial. And then once I watched that, I wrote that down on a piece of paper, which I showed you in the video. So that is a very good tip. If you're like me and you're very visual and, you know, you like to read things as well, I'd recommend doing that, because that really did help. Every time I come across it, I looked at this piece of paper just to prompt me on how to do that stitch. But after a while, I learned how to do it without looking at it. So the big question is, would I knit the Tolsta tee again? Hell yeah. I would definitely knit this pattern again. So the Tolsta tee is very modifiable. Rebecca Clow, who is the designer of the pattern, she gives so many modifications. You can do it striped, you can do all sorts of colours. It's a basic t-shirt, like a basic staple in your wardrobe. I think there's one with like eyelet details, which looks quite feminine and maybe something that I'll do in the future. But yeah, as I said, I enjoyed the whole process and I would highly recommend the pattern. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy this, please give me a thumbs up and a subscribe, because I do plan to do future videos like this. So anyway, I will see you in my next video. Bye!